India's non-profit sector currently includes over 14,000 active organizations operating on foreign funding across the subcontinent. On July 1, 2026, the Ministry of Home Affairs notified the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Rules. Pan-India multi-sector registrations are now legally invalid. A mandate for one state no longer permits an organization to conduct activities in another. The government's objective is to enforce complete financial traceability and prevent unauthorized ideological or geographic expansion. To understand how this compliance model works, we have to look at the new architecture from first principles, starting with a blank organizational slate. This blank slate is now restricted by three distinct regulatory layers: geographic and sectoral granularity, financial velocity, and expanded liability. Organizations that fail to navigate these layers face new parliamentary provisions that allow the state to legally seize their assets. The 2026 amendments rewrite the operational and financial architecture of every foreign-funded NGO in India. The first constraint limits spatial and purpose-driven boundaries. A standard registration now confines an NGO to exactly one state and one specific purpose. Expanding this charter incurs a direct financial cost. Every additional state or purpose added requires an extra fee of 300 rupees. Furthermore, an organization cannot invent its own operational mandate. It must select its objectives from a government-prescribed schedule containing over 100 strictly defined activities. Within this schedule, the highest level of scrutiny is placed on the religious activities category. The framework legally permits specific physical, faith-based initiatives. This includes the construction and maintenance of infrastructure, the provision of pilgrim facilities, and operating community kitchens. The rules draw an absolute regulatory red line. Foreign-funded activities involving proselytization or religious conversion are explicitly banned. For existing organizations, the clock is already ticking. They have a one-year window to declare their exact geographic and sectoral jurisdictions. This declaration must be filed using Form FC6F. Moving across state lines or outside approved sectors is no longer categorized as a reporting error. It is a direct violation of the core registration certificate. The second layer of the 2026 architecture targets how money moves. The government is cracking down on the accumulation of unutilized funds, specifically focusing on project-based grants released in installments. A financial gating mechanism blocks capital flow. Subsequent installments of foreign funds are locked until the organization proves it has utilized at least 75%. Accessing the next funding stage requires verification. Organizations validate their spending by filing Form FC-3BB. Even with the form filed, the ministry retains the right to conduct physical field inquiries to independently verify the 75% utilization before releasing further funds. This focus on capital movement extends to the registration renewal process, which introduces a new statutory requirement for reasonable activity. To qualify for renewal, an organization must spend a minimum of 10 lakh rupees of foreign contributions over the preceding 2 financial years. This minimum spend rule is designed to identify and cull inactive, dormant shell organizations that hold legacy FCRA privileges but do no substantive work. Financial velocity is now mandatory. The regulatory target has shifted from tracking where money sits to demanding proof of where and how quickly it moves. The final layer of the compliance model expands personal liability. The rules redefine the term key functionary, extending accountability far beyond the primary office bearers. Direct liability now encompasses corporate directors, trust trustees, firm partners, and the Karta of Hindu undivided families. Foreign nationals are restricted from serving in these roles and require special government approval to participate. These functionaries are then locked into the FCRA 2.0 digital tracking architecture. This ecosystem mandates real-time integration with biometric Aadhaar and permanent account number databases for all leaders. Digital oversight also includes new public disclosure mandates. Organizations must formally declare all official websites, social media platforms, and publications to the ministry. By integrating biometric identification with social media audits, the government has created real-time visibility into an NGO's operations, making personal liability impossible to evade. These three constraints, the geographic box, the 75% financial gate, and digitally tracked personnel, form the new compliance baseline. Failing to maintain this baseline triggers the ultimate enforcement mechanism, introduced via the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Bill 2026, currently moving through Parliament. This absolute penalty activates immediately upon the cancellation, the formal surrender, or the unrenewed expiration of an organization's FCRA status. When this happens, any remaining foreign-funded assets do not sit idle or revert to the donors. They are directly seized. A state-notified designated authority legally vests and takes active management of all unutilized funds and physical assets. To survive this transition, existing NGOs must immediately execute a governance audit, verify their 10 lakh minimum spend, and prepare Form FC6F. Survival under these rules requires a transition to purpose-driven operations and total technological transparency.